Sudan's military leaders held talks with the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad al Thani. Abdel Fattah al Burhan's one-day visit is to discuss bilateral relations and aid for Sudan. Burhan has already visited neighbouring South Sudan and Egypt and is expected to travel to Saudi Arabia in the coming days. Well, earlier, the army chief issued a decree dissolving the Rapid Support Forces. The army and the paramilitary group, led by Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, have been locked in a battle for control for nearly 5 months. Burhan says the move is a consequence of the group's rebellion against the state. Waleed Madibo is founder and president at Sudan Policy Forum. He joins me here on set here in Doha. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
What is General Burhan hoping to achieve by this visit here to Qatar?
The general's strategy is not clear. If he is seeking reconciliation, then he is probably thinking about repatriation or rebuilding of the country in the aftermath of the war. But if he is seeking confrontation with the paramilitary group, then probably he wants arms. He wants aid for the population in Sudan, especially in the northern part of the country and the western part of the country. So for me, his strategy is not clear, because by dissolving the RSF, then he has already closed the doors for any sort of reconciliation, unless he is using that as a card by which he aims to push the RSF against the wall and forces it to give in more to the demands of the state of Sudan.
What about Qatar's role here when it comes to mediation? They've been successful when it comes to other conflicts.
Qatar is now presiding over the Committee for Less Developed Countries. So from an economic and financial perspective, it's a very important country. Also, historically and traditionally speaking, it has helped strike the Doha peace agreement. It's a guarantor now for the Juba agreement. So it's very well perceived among the Sudanese politicians and the Sudanese public. However, there seems to be a shift now after the war, because prior to the war, Qatar extended the invitation to the Prime Minister Hamdouk, but he didn't make it to Qatar until the regime was toppled. So now, given the fact that the UAE is perceived as an ally for the RSF, then Qatar more agreeably, it's going to be on the side of General Burhan. That's what Burhan thinks. But I'm not sure how the dynamics is going to outplay.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, the Gulf countries, they are definitely not all on the same side when it comes to the different parties in Sudan. I mean, how difficult does that make any sort of resolution to the conflict?
It's going to be very difficult, but now Qatar is not trying to replace the American-Saudi deal. But if it could possibly help with supporting that deal and helping it go through, it's going to play a very important role in the very future, in the very coming future. And I think even though it's very difficult for the Sudanese leaders now to swallow the importance of having to deal with the UAE, they will ultimately have to deal with the UAE because it is a main supporter for the RSF.